friends, hello again. Today is a special day because I have a guest with me. Not just a guest, I mean, he's flesh of my flesh, blood of my blood. This is Marco Biscarini. And I just wanted him to be with me since we're talking a little bit about the view of the Father toward the Son. What I wanted to discuss today is how do you view yourself? And how do others view you? And that's a tough question because many times we don't ask it because we're kind of afraid of digging in and seeing who we really are. Or some of us have an inflated view of ourselves that is not realistic. But I think more importantly is understanding how your builder, the one that really constructed you inside of the womb, views you. And I wanted to kind of, before I go back to this story, I wanted to explore one thing is, as we grow up, parents always try to give us the best they know how to give, right? In terms of encouragement, in terms of building, and so on and so forth. And we go wrong in many occasions, but did you feel growing up that you have enough reinforcements, enough encouragement to believe that you can do whatever you can do?
Yeah, no, I was blessed to grow up obviously in a Christian household too. So I mean, you guys navigated disciplines, in a godly way to set, those boundaries like we talked about in the Italian version.
Uh-huh.
And you operated as the, provider, protector, and the one to kind of show, hey, here's me broken trying to walk this walk that we're called to walk. And I think, as that saying goes, the apple that doesn't far fall from the tree, I think can be applied to this as well, that you set both Isa and I up for more success, spiritually speaking, by showing us kind of, you and Mom both showing us what that looks like, right?
Did you have doubts though growing up about your capabilities of being able to achieve certain things? Or no?
I think we all have doubts. I would say not necessarily.
Okay.
I don't know. Yeah.
Okay. I want to look at one figure though, one person that had a lot of doubts. Let me take you back in history. We are going back to 1150 BC. And what we have a situation where Israel has drifted away from God. They kept doing over and over things that were very displeasing to God. So God says, okay guys, you don't understand the easy way, I'm going to make you understand the hard way. The consequences, right? Like us, you just said earlier, we put some boundaries, and you were pushing the envelope many times. Is that a real boundary or is that fake, right?
Yeah.
So it's important that the consequences are there. Don't just talk the talk, right? Okay, this is one side, this is the other side, you get out, and these are the consequences. And I remember it was so funny. Sometimes he would come up to me and say, Papa, what if I do this? How many spankings do I get? So he was trying to bargain.
Yeah, see how worth the rule breaking is. Is it worth 10 spankings? I don't know.
So he was already negotiating. He was already a negotiator, back when he was 6 years old, 7 years old. It was so funny. But anyway, bottom line, when Israel has drifted, God says, okay, I'm going to leave you in the hands of the Midianites, the Amalekites. And what that meant really is that Israel was setting up for harvest, and these people used to come, and they said, as numerous as cavallette.
Locusts?
Yes,
Yeah.
So they come in and they just storm and they take all of the harvest away. They take cows and sheep, everything that was around. So these people were actually hiding in caves. Think about it. Instead of asking themselves, what in the world are we doing wrong? They were just complaining about the misery they were living in. And what happens, they cry out to God, and God sends them a prophet that tells them, hey, you're drifting away because you're worshiping some other gods, and God is not pleased with you. So open up your eyes. And instead, they kept complaining, they kept worshiping those idols, which is insane. So finally, God sends them an angel to one particular individual Gideon. And the beauty of that is how God sees Gideon. So the angel goes to Gideon and says, great warrior. I mean, that's the way he identifies. Great warrior, God is with you. And probably the guy is going, great warrior. You know, who are you talking to? I mean, I'm hiding in the cave because those guys are coming to get me. But it's a beautiful view of what is to come. So did Gideon really believe that he was a great warrior? No, when he heard that, right away his response was, let me read it to you. Pardon me, my Lord, Gideon replied, but if the Lord is with us, why has all of this happened to us? Where are all his wonders that our ancestor told us about when they said, did not the Lord bring us up out of Egypt? But now the Lord has abandoned us and given us into the hands of Midian. So he's saying, oh, well, I remember about these stories that have been told to me, but I look at the situation right now and it's a miserable situation. And maybe perhaps some of us today can say that. You know, there's this state of unrest around us. This is miserable. Did God abandon us? Perhaps he did, you know, so that we may learn a lesson. But as we go forward, see, God is seeing him as a valiant man, as a warrior, but the view of himself was terrible because he says, how in the world can I defeat these people? I'm from a tribe of Manasseh, which was a divided tribe. I'm the youngest of that tribe, so that means I amount to nothing. But the response of the angel was beautiful. He said, the Lord will do this. And that's where sometimes we kind of fall apart because we want to do things ourselves in our power. And in this case, Gideon was hesitant, right? He had a lot of doubt, so he goes out and he asks for signs. You know, if it's really you, show me that it's really you. And we know the story, you know, of the mantle that he puts out. Mantello, the fleece that he puts out. And then when he gets confirmation after confirmation, finally he rounds up 32,000 people, and then God says, no, too many. So he cuts it out. 22,000 go home. He's only 10,000 strong. At this point, God says, still too strong because you might take credit for it. So he takes him down to 300. That's it. 300 against 135,000. It's basically a suicide mission because each one of them has to kill 450 people. And you made an observation to this regard. What did you say about this 300?
I mean, all the focus is on Gideon, but there's something to be said about the faith of the 300 that one didn't see the signs or the miracles that Gideon saw in communicating with the Lord. So they're trusting a leader that doesn't even believe in himself and believing that he is truly being led by the Lord. So, I mean, there's a faith and a strength, I think, in those 300. You know, even in the companions to the left and the right, I mean, you know, they're relying on the other 299 to defeat this massive army. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, there's a faith there in the leadership given by God to another man that is flawed.
And sometimes that's a good point, because sometimes I encounter that as I talk to people back in Italy. Many of them are saying, well, the Bible, how can I trust the Bible? I mean, those people lived with Christ. They saw him. They heard him. They saw the miracles. So that was a first-hand witness. And we are to believe somebody that saw somebody, but we haven't seen him, right? So we're like the 300 ourselves, you know, having that kind of a faith, you know, going forward. But bottom line, as many of you know, God gives them victory to the point that the people said, you reign over us, Gideon, valiant warrior. So they saw him as God initially saw him. And that's a beautiful story coming all the way around and wrapping. And it's kind of like you know, growing up, hey, you can do whatever you can if you work hard at it, because God has given you enough talent. And you've been successful as an entrepreneur. You know, we're sitting here in one of your 3 locations, but what is the secret sauce? You know, have you had doubts growing up? Have you gone to a special source of strength somewhere? Did you put out your fleece?
Yeah, I mean, the special strength is learning truly to put your identity in Christ and not in, I mean, literally not in what you do or what other people think of you, because He's unchanging. The people around you are constantly changing. The environment's constantly changing. You know, the Lord is today, yesterday, and forever. And to put our identity truly in Him, it's something that's unshakable. You know, I mean, what more do you really need? You know, He's our creator. He made us. He built us, like you were saying. He made us in His own image. You know, we are the crown jewel at the end of creation. After everything else has been created, you know, and He makes His masterpiece.
And He said it was very good.
And it was very good.
Yeah.
So I think that's kind of what fuels me to a degree. And it, you know, it manifests itself in different ways. But it gives me a reassurance, it gives me a peace, it gives me a stability, if you will. But that came with having bounced around on all the guardrails on the outside.
So you're strengthened by His promises, right? Because He
by His
promised
promises
something.
and in how He views me, rather than how I even view myself sometimes, right? Because if He's willing to sacrifice His Son for me,
that's right.
There must be something special about me, you know, the person next to me, the guy I don't know.
And sometimes the enemy does exactly the opposite. He comes to destroy, right? You're not good enough. You don't have what it takes. You know, so he comes to defeat. So we need to really hang on to the promise that He has made us. I sacrifice myself for you. That's how much I love you. So that's of encouragement. So thank you for listening. And until next time, we love you.
You cry every episode?
Oh, no, every episode.